My beloved child, there is something that can only be seen clearly once you have walked far enough away from the old darkness. Not everything that leaves your life is a loss. And not everything that once rested in your hands was truly given by me for you to keep forever. When you are still standing close to the boundary of the past, every departure feels like a cut, a relationship fading, a role ending, a door closing, a familiar rhythm slowly dissolving. All of it can make you think that your life is being stripped away piece by piece. You look at the empty space and call it deprivation. You look at the silence after those who were once near and call it abandonment. You look at the things that no longer function as before and call it brokenness. But I, your father, see deeper than that first feeling. I see that there are things that do not leave in order to make you poor, but leave in order to return your freedom to you. There are things that are not removed from your life because I am angry with you, but because they never truly belong to the real identity I placed within you. When an old season still covers you, you easily call what is familiar what is right. You easily mistake the place where you once took shelter for home. You easily think that the one who walked with you through a stretch of pain must surely walk with you into a new season of life. But my child, not every attachment is born from life. There are connections formed by shared fear, by the need to cling, by the feeling of mutual woundedness, by loneliness searching for a place to be less cold. They may help you endure for a while, but they cannot nourish you to grow in the light. There are old rhythms that once gave you a sense of safety, but in truth, only kept you from facing what I was inviting you into. There are habits that once made the pain lessen, but later became cords, tying you to a land that no longer bears fruit. Therefore, when I allow those things to fall away, do not be quick to call it robbery. I am not taking away your treasure. I am only loosening from your hands the things you mistakenly held because you thought they were yours. Much of your pain does not come from the loss itself, but from the name you gave to what was temporary. You called a narrow place my life. So when I widened the path, you thought you were being pushed out. You called an old role my value. So when that role ended, you thought you no longer had weight. You called a fragile connection my place of belonging. So when it dissolved, you thought you had been rejected. But I want you to learn to distinguish. What belongs to you and me will not require you to lose your dignity in order to keep it. What I truly give will not demand that you shrink the light within you in order to remain. What comes from life will not nourish you through the fear of being abandoned. If something can only exist when you must betray the peace I have given, then it is not the land I appointed for you to dwell in for long. Remember Lot when he left Sodom. That city was not merely a location to him, it was a place where he had grown used to walking, used to interacting, used to building a life, used to seeing its walls as a form of assurance. Perhaps that place gave him possessions, position, routines, and a surface sense of stability. But there are places that become more dangerous the more familiar they are, because familiarity can slow a person from recognizing what is causing them to wither. When the hour came to leave, Lot did not immediately step out with strength as someone completely lighthearted. He hesitated. That hesitation was not necessarily because he wanted to keep the darkness. Many times people hesitate simply because the old place has become a familiar breath, even when that breath is no longer clean. I used mercy to pull him out of what he was, not decisive enough to leave. Do you see? My child, sometimes grace does not only open the door ahead. Grace also takes your hand while you are still looking back at the place you need to leave. There are times when I have loved you like that too. I see you standing between two regions. On one side, what is familiar but no longer whole. On the other, what is new but not yet clearly formed. I see that you want to move forward, yet your hand is still gripping the garment of yesterday. I see that you know the old place no longer nourishes you, yet you still fear the emptiness that follows leaving. I do not scold you for that slowness. I understand that your heart once had to learn to survive through temporary things. So when I call you out, it trembles like a child asked to leave a dark room it has known for a long time. But I cannot let you remain simply because you are used to it. My love does not indulge every form of clinging within you. My love is gentle enough to comfort you, yet holy enough to lead you out of what is suffocating your future. When the inner climate within you changes, you will begin to look at the past with a new clarity. You will no longer curse everything that is past, nor romanticize it as though it were the only place you ever had. You will know how to thank the roads that taught you, but not pitch your tent there. You will know how to value those who walked with you for a season, but not force them to become lifelong companions if I have not called them to continue. You will know how to look at a closed door and understand that not every sound of closing is a painful ending. Sometimes it is the gentle locking of protection. You will know that some things fall from your hands, not because you have failed, but because your hands need to be emptied to receive what is purer. A vessel filled with old water cannot receive new wine. A room crowded with things from the previous season cannot welcome the new season unless it is cleared. Beloved child, do not let fear cause you to call liberation loss. I know that at first, the emptiness can feel cold. When a person leaves, when a role ends, when a way of living is no more, you may hear a great echo inside your heart, but that echo is not proof that you have been forgotten. It is space. It is the place I am widening. It is new ground, just cleared of old roots. Do not rush to fill it with the first thing you meet, simply because you are afraid of silence. Do not run back to what made you small just because it knows your old name. Let that emptiness be sanctified. Let me restore order. Let your heart learn that peace does not need to depend on old faces, old roles, or old structures. I am the place where you belong before anyone ever called your name. And I remain the place where you belong after every temporary thing has left you. There are things you hold because you think that if you release them, you will have nothing left. But when you let go, you will be amazed to discover that your hand is not as empty as you feared. It is being held by me, and a hand held by me is not poorer than a hand full of old things. You are not defined by what has departed. You do not become smaller because a season has ended. You do not lose your identity because someone no longer walks with you. Your name is not erased from the promise simply because a door has closed. What belongs to you and me will find you at the right time, in the right form, with the right peace. What does not belong to you, even if it once stood very close, will gradually reveal its temporary nature. Trust me in the process. My beloved child, there are seasons when you stand before the future and think that what you need most is the thunderous sound of a door opening, a clear sign, a turning point that instantly dissolves every doubt. You ask me for direction, you wait for a sound, a confirmation, a movement strong enough to make your heart settle. But instead of the sound of hinges opening, you meet silence. And because you have grown used to measuring my presence by movement, used to believing that wherever there is an answer, there is guidance, you begin to feel confused. You wonder whether I have left, whether your prayer has fallen to the ground, whether you are being held in a hallway with no exit. But I speak to you with the love of a father. This stillness is not my absence. It is my way of being nearer to you than you think. Near enough to place my hand upon your shoulder and keep you from stepping too quickly into a place you are not yet prepared to enter. Understand this, my child, not every door that has not opened is a rejection, and not every quiet space is a sign of being forgotten. There are times when I do not answer with a voice, because a voice would cause you to rush to grasp what you want to hear. There are times when I do not open the way immediately, because you would run into it with old habits, old reflexes, old fears, dressed in new garments. You may call it an opportunity, but I see deeper. If the inside of you has not changed, you will turn a new road into an old cycle. You will step into a new place with a heart still carrying unhealed marks, then wonder why the new thing gives birth to old weariness. Therefore, I hold you back not to hurt you, but so that what you are about to receive will not be damaged by the part of you that has not yet been made new. The silence I place before you is not like an abandoned house, where there is no warmth, no footprints, no life. It is like a field covered in snow at dawn, where every sound is softened so you can hear what is subtler than noise. It is like a hand placed over the mouth of a storm, keeping the wind from carrying you away before your roots grow deeper into me. It is like a father holding his little child back at the edge of the road, not because he wants to prevent the child from reaching the other side, but because a vehicle is rushing toward them that the child cannot yet see. You only feel blocked, but I see what I am protecting you from. You only see delay, but I see preparation. You only see that no door has opened, but I see that your inner being is being realigned so that when the door opens, you will not enter as one running away, but as one who has been sent. Do not consider this stillness useless. There are lessons that cannot be learned while you are running. There are rooms within you that only open when every outer sound grows quiet. When there is no sign to cling to, you begin to recognize that you have depended more on noise than on presence. When there is no road to rush toward, you begin to see that some things you once called faith were actually habits of control, covered in beautiful words. When there is no opportunity to return, you realize that the places that once gave you a sense of safety are no longer wide enough for you. You are not pushed out of the past by a violent blow. You are led out through slow clarity. And that clarity can be painful, because it shows you that some old garments once covered you, but if you wear them again now, you will suffocate yourself. I know that at times you want to return to what is familiar simply because the new is still unclear. You want to go back to the place where you know how to exist, where you understand the rules of the game, where you can predict the pain and call that familiarity peace. But my child, false peace often resembles a warm room with no windows. There, you do not tremble from the wind, but neither do you grow under the light. I did not lead you out of the old place, only to let you shrink again inside that narrow region. When I close the road back, I do not close it in anger. I close it with truth. I let you see clearly. What was once enough for you yesterday is no longer enough for you today. What once kept you from falling apart is no longer the place where you can live fully. What was familiar is not necessarily what belongs to your destiny. You cannot pretend you do not know what I have already allowed you to recognize. New understanding makes the old garment too tight. Remember my people when they stood before the Red Sea. Behind them was Egypt. Before them was deep water. On both sides was wilderness. And in their ears, the sound of fear was louder than the sound of hope. They had just been let out, but they had not yet seen the way forward. They could not go back, and they did not yet know how to step ahead. That moment was like a silent door, where every human possibility had run out. But I did not lead them to the shore of the sea to abandon them to die in confusion. I brought them there so they would learn that there are paths that only appear when they no longer have any road they can draw for themselves. The sea had not yet divided when they began to panic, but my hand was already there before the waters opened. Do you see? My child, the silence before the miracle is not my absence. It is the holy space where I cause the human heart to stop relying on old roads, stop dreaming of old chains, and become ready to cross through the way that only I can open. In the same way, you are standing between two times. Something has ended within you. and something has not yet been fully revealed before your eyes. This is where many people easily panic, because they think they must do something immediately to prove they are still moving forward. But I do not measure your maturity by speed. I look to see whether you can stand in me when there is no outward movement. I look to see whether you still need familiar sounds in order to feel guided. I look to see whether you can trust my hand, even when that hand does not open the door, but simply holds you back in the necessary moment. Standing still in me is not passivity. It is deep obedience, where you do not open for yourself the door I have not opened. Do not return on your own to the place from which I have led you, and do not call haste faith. Therefore, do not despise this in-between space. It is where I calm your impatience, where I remove from you the need to always have an immediate answer, where I teach you not to mistake quietness for abandonment. In this in-between place, you will learn to breathe without running, to wait without withering, to trust without needing every detail laid out before you. You will realize that I am not only the one who opens doors, I am also the one who stands before the door when the time has not yet come. I am not only the one who speaks through a calling, I am also the one who speaks through a merciful restraint. I do not guide you only by the light ahead. I also guide you through the peace that keeps your feet from the wrong path. Then, when the right season comes, you will understand why I allowed you to remain in this silence. You will look back and see that if the door had opened earlier, you would have entered with a heart still pulled by the old thing. If I had answered more quickly, you would have used that answer to continue cycles that no longer belong to you. If I had let you go back, you would have hurt yourself by trying to live within a frame I had already freed you from. But because I love you, I hold you, because I am merciful. I do not let everything you want happen immediately, because I see farther than your impatience. I prepare you for what will not only be beautiful for a moment, but enduring for the long journey. Beloved child, rest your heart in this silent door. It is not a wall burying you, but a holy shelter where you are covered before stepping into the rain and sun of the new season. It is not punishment, but protection. It is not abandonment, but nearness. Let me teach you to stand without needing to cling to movement, to trust without needing an echo, to wait without losing gentleness. You no longer belong to the old garment, and you do not yet need to force yourself to wear the new one before I give it. Stay with me in this in-between place. My hand is upon you, not allowing you to fall backward, and not allowing you to rush forward before the appointed hour. And when the time is right, the door will open not by your panic, but by my precision. Then you will step through, not as someone escaping silence, but as someone whom silence has matured in peace. My beloved child, true rising within you does not always begin with a radiant day, nor does it necessarily come through a victory that makes everyone look. There are great restorations that I build through breaths that are very small, very quiet, very steady, repeated day after day in what seems ordinary. You wake up, and you choose not to give up. You hurt, but you still call my name. You are tired, but you still breathe slowly in my presence. You have not yet seen the mountain move, but you no longer let that mountain govern your breath. No one records those moments. No one stands beside you to applaud when you do not respond in anger, when you do not run back to old fear, when you do not let one sharp word drag you back into the dark room of yesterday. But I see every time you return to me instead of returning to panic. I see every time you place your hand on your chest. Take a deep breath and choose to believe that I am still here. Do not despise small steps, for many strongholds within you do not collapse through one loud explosion, but through quiet faithfulness repeated again and again. Each time you breathe with me, You reclaim a piece of ground that fear once occupied. Each time you become still before reacting, you regain authority from the memories that once controlled you. Each time you let peace lead, instead of allowing old wounds to command you. You are walking out of a prison where you may have lived for far too long. This is not noisy, but it is very holy. It is like dawn that does not argue with the night, does not roar to prove that it is coming, but quietly spreads light little by little over the earth until the darkness must withdraw. So it is with you, my child. I do not make you strong by turning you into a cold stone wall. I make you strong by causing your roots to go deeper into my love, so the winds may still blow, but you are no longer uprooted. Then one day, others will recognize what I have been doing in you for a long time. They will see that you no longer react as you once did. What once made you tremble will now only cause you to pause, pray, ask, and then continue walking. The gaze that once made you question your worth will no longer have enough power to define you. The criticism that once stole your sleep will simply pass by like wind outside the door. Because within you, there is now a deeper, gentler, truer voice. You have not become numb, you have become steady. You have not lost your softness, you have simply stopped allowing that softness to be turned into a wound by others. You do not need to prove that you are healed. Your peace will testify for itself. The one who matures in me is not the one who no longer knows pain, but the one who no longer lets pain rule. Such a person still feels, still loves, still sheds tears when needed, but is no longer carried away like a leaf before every wind of life. Yet, my child, for this to take shape, I must bring you into the silences you once avoided. Silence does not come to steal your strength. Silence comes to take from your hands the garments you have used to cover what needs to be healed. When work pauses, when messages no longer pull you away, when plans are no longer loud enough to fill the emptiness, you begin to hear the things inside you that were once ignored. At first, silence may make you uncomfortable, because it does not indulge the parts of you that are used to running away. It does not tell you pleasant words just to give you false reassurance. It does not gild the inner room so everything looks warmer than it truly is. It brings a light that is direct, clean, clear, and honest into the place you once called fine only because you were too tired to touch it. Do not fear that light. I do not shine into you to condemn you. I shine into you to heal you. There are wounds that are no longer new, but because you have lived with them for so long, you have mistaken them for a natural part of yourself. You have become used to flinching when someone is silent. You have become used to preparing a defense when someone offers correction. You have become used to thinking you are about to be abandoned when a door has not yet opened. You have become used to reading the present in the language of things that have already passed. But I do not want you to keep calling familiarity destiny. I do not want you to hold old wounds simply because they have stayed with you longer than peace has. Therefore, I bring you into the quiet place, where there are no longer so many voices covering everything, so that you can see what was weak all along, not to be ashamed, but to give it to me, my beloved child. There are days when I allow you to stand in a pathway covered with mist before you, not to make you lost, nor to test you with cold distance. I do not leave you in the moment when you cannot see the way. I am gently calling you to lift your head above the old traces. Many times the turn is already very near, near enough that if you became calm for just a little while, you would be able to recognize it. But your eyes are still used to looking through painful memories. So the first thing you see is not an opening but a threat. You look at a door and remember the times you were left behind. You look at silence and remember the times you received no answer. You look at one small change and think disaster is coming. But I do not blame you for that. My child, I know that there are wounds that cause a person's eyes not only to see the present, but also to carry with them the old seasons that once made them tremble. Therefore, I do not merely lead you to a new road. I heal the way you look at that road. When you look through pain that has not been soothed, you will always see darkness before light, endings before beginnings, threats before invitations. An ordinary word can become an arrow. A small silence can sound like rejection. A short delay can feel like a sentence of judgment. But when I touch your inner eyes with grace, you begin to see differently. You no longer rush to conclude that what is unclear must be bad. You no longer call every closed door a failure. You no longer allow the past to interpret the present. You begin to recognize that I am in this moment, not only in the days that have passed, and not only in a distant future you have not yet reached. When you see me first, everything else must take its proper place. A turning point is no longer a deep abyss swallowing you. It becomes an arm pointing the way. Change is no longer an enemy. It becomes a tool I use to lead you out of the place that no longer nourishes you. I want you to remember that I never lead you through panic. My voice does not shove you into decisions through fear, does not drive you to run in chaos, does not make you choose a path merely because you are afraid of missing an opportunity. When I lead, there is a stillness within you, deeper than the noise outside. You may still not understand everything, but you are not crushed by what you do not understand. You may still not see the whole road, but you know my hand is not let go. You may still be standing before many turns, but you no longer see yourself as a child abandoned in an open field. I am there. I am in the breath you are trying to steady. I am in the small light that is enough for the next step. I am in the pause that keeps you from rushing into the wrong door. I am in the gentle reminder telling you not to let old wounds choose in place of today's faith. There are exits I prepared long before you knew you would be pressed into a narrow place. You think you reached the end before you began to cry out, but I saw the turn before you entered the valley. You think the circumstance has locked you in, but before me there is no wall that cannot become a door, no desert that cannot have a well, no night that has the right to last longer than the hour I have appointed. What exhausts you is not always the circumstance itself, but the way you believe that circumstance has the final word. But when grace opens your eyes, you will see that the final authority does not belong to what opposes you, not to the one who misunderstands you, not to the closed door, not to the unclear road. The final authority belongs to me, your Father, the one who still writes a path upon the place where you see only hard stone. Remember the young servant of Elisha, when the city was surrounded and before his eyes there were only enemies, horses, chariots, weapons, and threats. He looked through fearful eyes. So he saw himself surrounded, saw death drawing near, saw no escape around him. But Elisha did not see in the same way. He knew there was a reality greater than what appeared before the eyes. And when the young man's eyes were opened, he saw the mountain filled with the protection of heaven. Do you see, my child? The outward circumstance did not immediately change in that moment, but the inner vision changed, and that very change caused fear to lose its throne. I do the same with you. Sometimes I do not move the mountain at once, but I open your eyes so that you can see the mountain is not alone. See that around what you fear, there is also my presence. See that you are not surrounded by danger more than you are surrounded by the faithfulness of your Father. Therefore, when I anoint your eyes, do not be surprised if your tears fall, but they will no longer be the tears of old despair, no longer the cry of one who believes they have been abandoned. They will be the tears of someone who suddenly realizes they have been kept through so many seasons they did not understand. You will weep because you see that the places you thought held only loss also held my hand quietly supporting you. You will weep because you remember the days that seemed like endings, then realize that I was actually turning you away from the road that was wearing you down. You will weep because light touches the inner rooms you once locked, thinking nothing there could ever live again. Those tears will not make you weak. They will wash away the dust of fear, soften the places that had grown dry and hard, and let you know that my presence can interpret what your mind has not yet been able to understand. The peace I give in that hour is not peace that comes from receiving every answer. Many times, you still will not know exactly what tomorrow will be like. Who will stay? Who will leave? Which door will open? What will be restored? And what must be released? But you have something greater than explanation. You have me. And when you have me, you no longer have to force yourself to know everything before daring to step. You only need to know that the one leading you is good. You only need to know that the hand placed upon you is not a hand of punishment, but a hand of healing. You only need to know that the light I give may be as small as a lamp in the night, but it is enough to keep you from taking the wrong next step. The world wants the whole map before it goes, but the one who belongs to me learns to trust the light one step at a time, because each step taken in me is safer than a wide road without my presence. So then, beloved child, do not let old pains become the lenses you wear for the rest of your life. Do not let old betrayal explain every new face. Do not let old failure name every new opportunity. Do not let seasons of being left behind make you suspicious of every invitation I place before you. I am giving you a purified vision, one that does not deny what you have gone through, but also does not let it govern how you move forward. You do not need to force yourself to forget everything in order to be healed. You only need to let me step into that memory and place my light upon it. When the light comes, what once made you shrink back will no longer rule you as before. When grace touches it, you will see that you are not merely someone who survived the dark days, but someone let out with new eyes, a softer heart, steadier steps, and deeper trust. Lift up your head, my child. The turn before you was not placed there to swallow you. It was placed there to teach you that I have more ways than your imagination can draw. What you call a dead end may be the place where I have hidden an exit. What you call an ending may be the threshold of a new season. What you call lateness may be the timing I have preserved for precision. Look with grace, not with wounds. Look with trust, not with fear. Look at me before you look at the circumstance. And when you see me, you will understand that you were never abandoned in the maze of your own life. You are being led, kept, opened in vision, called out from the old shadow into the bright place, where peace does not need every explanation, because my presence itself is enough to let your heart rest.